Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first tier list of many, perhaps. Not sure. I'm wearing my Pokemon crew neck, which means that we're going to talk about some Pokemon. This is definitely going to be controversial. However, my opinion is true. Everything I say is objective. Alright, I've never been wrong. So, whatever I say here, I'm right. And if you disagree, tell me in the comments. We are going to rank every starter Pokemon in existence. Every single one. Let's start old classic Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur, strong design. It's like a frog dinosaur thing. I don't even know what it is, but it's great. It's cute. I love it. It fits easy A tier. No problem there. That's definitely an A tier. And you don't have to ask me twice about that one. Next up, Charmander. Charmander's not that bad of a design, really loved by the fan base. Personally, not my favorite design, but still not so bad. I'm gonna put him in B tier. I think there's a little bit more they could have done with it. He looks a little bland, basic, especially compared to Bulbasaur, but still not a bad design. Next up, Squirtle. Squirtle, over the years, I've started to love more and more. Last time I played Fire Red, I started with Squirtle, and I did a water-only game, and it was really fun, and I really loved Squirtle, and, the Squirtle line after that. So, I think Squirtle's got a strong design, really cute, loved by the fan base. We're going to put him in A tier, just behind Bulbasaur. I don't think he's as good as Bulbasaur, but definitely up there. Now, Gen 2, Chikorita. Let's be honest, when has anyone ever picked Chikorita? It's upsetting because I actually love Meganium. I think it's a really cool design. I mean, I love dinosaurs, and Meganium is literally just a dinosaur. But, I mean, really? We couldn't have done better, Game Freak. I think that Chikorita is not the worst design in Pokemon history, but it's not one that really catches your eye immediately, like, I'm gonna pick that one. We're gonna go ahead and put Chikorita in C tier. I just don't think it lives up, especially not to the other starters. Speaking of the other starters, Cyndaquil. Cyndaquil, beautiful starter. Very well done. Obviously, the fan base loves Cyndaquil as a whole. Really cute. Kind of a disappointing evolution line, if you ask me. I think Typhlosion is really lame, especially considering his stats are literally copied from Charizard's. Like, it's literally the same number. Like, I'm not even exaggerating, it's the exact same. And of course, in 3D form, when he gets, like, castrated. But overall, a great design. Cyndaquil's great. We're going to put Cyndaquil in A tier. I don't think he's as strong as the OGs, however, not bad at all. Totodile. Now, I may be a little bit partial to Totodile because Totodile was my first starter, so I have a little bit of nostalgia from that. But how can you say no to this thing? This thing it's so cute and like angry and happy, and it makes you feel so happy, and it's just overall design-wise, a wonderful Pokemon. I love it so much. I think it's gonna go in the top of A tier. I don't think there's been a design so far that's better than Totodile's overall. It is raining like crazy right now. Generation 3. Now, Gen 3 is the generation I most recently played all the way through. I played through Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and then Fire Red, Leaf Green. Had a great time. And what it taught me is Trico is not a bad design. It's pretty decent overall. Trico used to be my favorite, but I don't know. I still like his design. I just think it's not as strong as some of the others we've had. I'm gonna put Trico in B tier. I think it's a better design than Charmander. I think they've got a lot more going, something much more interesting. However, I don't think he's just good enough to compete with someone like Cyndaquil or Squirtle. Next up, Torchic. Torchic, I used to not like at all, and now I actually kind of like Torchic. I think it's cute. It's really simple. It's just a little chick. And obviously the evolution line is pretty base. A lot of people love the Torchic line, Blaziken, but I don't think it's as strong as Trico's design, and so because of that, I'm going to put it just behind Trico in B tier still. I also think it's a little better than Charmander, but not as good as Trico. Lastly, from Gen 3, the fan favorite, the overall loved Mudkip. Everyone loves Mudkip, and it's hard to disagree with them. Mudkip is some axolotl thing. It's like a fish axolotl lizard. I don't know what it is, but it's absolutely adorable, and it looks awesome as well with the giant fins. I think Mudkip is one of the strongest designs in Pokemon, and just for that, I'm gonna put it in A tier, and I'm gonna put it all the way at the top. I think it's better than Totodile. Originally, I had Mudkip placed in the middle of A tier, but honestly, design-wise, it's very strong, and I don't think anything at this point in the game series has even come close. Totodile was pretty close, Bulbasaur is pretty close, but I think it just takes the cake. It's just that much better. Generation 4, baby. Generation 4 was my childhood generation, growing up with the Sinnoh games, and Totodile was my first starter in Heart Gold. And Heart Gold is, to this day, probably my favorite game. Let's look at the Sinnoh starters, starting with Turtwig. Now, Turtwig is not a bad design. Could have been a little better, I guess. I'm not sure what they could have done, but his head is kind of cool with the little plant sticking out. His body's kind of a little bland, but he's got like a turtle shell or whatever. Anyway, I think Turtwig is not bad at all. I'm gonna put Turtwig at the top of B tier. I think he's better than Trico, but I still don't think he can compete with Cyndaquil. Chimchar, now this is where you may disagree with me. And if you do, it's okay. No, it's okay. You can disagree. It's alright. It's fine. You can disagree. You can have your own opinion. Honestly, I think that Chimchar is not a bad design, but it's not that good, really. I think it's just a monkey guy, and that's pretty much, he's got a little swirl, he's got like a fire on his butt. I think that he's better than Chikorita's design. People pick Chimchar all the time, but I still think not as good as Charmander, but better than Chikorita. So I'm gonna put Chimchar C tier. Next up, Piplup. Now Piplup is another fan favorite. In fact, I feel like this whole generation is all fan favorites. Everyone loves Gen 4. Piplup is pretty good. Really cute design. Its evolution line is very strong. Water and Steel is a broken typing, and I know a lot of people picked Piplup. Now, me personally, I don't think Piplup is my favorite. Piplup is an okay design. It's very decent, but I think that's about it. I don't think it really steps up and goes above. It's definitely no like Mudkip or Totodile. I'm gonna put it in B tier, and I'm thinking we put it at the bottom of B tier. I think that it's not that it's bad design, and it's okay if you like this design. Like I said, I'm putting it in B tier. It's still quite good, but honestly, when I look at the rest of the starters and their designs and their evolutions and whatnot, Piplup just doesn't meet those standards quite, I guess. Alrighty, Gen 5. Now, Gen 5 is interesting because it was the second generation that I played. Obviously, I started with Gen 4, Gen 5 came out, and I remember I got Pokemon White when it came out, and I never finished for several years. I went back and finished it a couple years ago, but Gen 5 was very different for me, obviously, with all the moving sprites and the story-focused progression. But one thing that stood out to me in the first like 5 minutes of the game, actually the first thing you do is choose your starter, and there are 3 options: Snivy, Tepig, and Oshawott. Let's start with Snivy. Snivy, I think a lot of people really liked Snivy, and I didn't really see the appeal. He has like one of the most personality of all the starter Pokemon, weirdly enough, but I'm just gonna be dead honest. I think Snivy's not that good of a design. It's alright, maybe. Its evolution is kind of cool, but I don't know, just when I looked at Snivy, I didn't think I want that Pokemon. It just kind of got passed up for me. You know, I saw it and I was like, not really. I'm gonna put Snivy at the bottom of C tier. Next up, Tepig. Tepig is the best starter Pokemon ever, and it's not even close. Tepig is the strongest design. The strongest. It's not even there's no realm of where anyone can reach Tepig. Tepig is S tier immediately. The only S tier thus far, and he will stay the only S tier because he's the best. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of fire type Pokemon. If you could tell from the rest of the tier list, Cyndaquil is the only one in A tier. Bruh, Tepig is the GOAT. And it doesn't matter what you say, no Pokemon is even close to Tepig. And after the best Pokemon design comes Oshawott. And I don't know if it's just the fact that right after seeing the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life, I move over and I see this thing. What is this thing? What is it? What, it's an otter? Really? It looks like a pituitary tumor. What happened to this guy? What did they do to him? Bro asked for a little off the top and now he's white. Who designed this Pokemon? It was like, let's put it right next to the greatest starter Pokemon in history and one of the greatest games in Pokemon history. Yeah, let's do that. And its evolution line is absolute crap. What the heck is the what? Oh my god, bro. Why does Samurott come from that? It's an otter. Why does it become a freaking unicorn dinosaur? What the heck is this Pokemon? Worst Pokemon ever. F tier. F tier. It's the worst design ever. And if you like this Pokemon, you're the worst. Okay. Gen 6. Generation 6 was a kind of controversial generation in the Pokemon world. The games themselves were the first game on the 3DS, but they were also the first game to be easy. These were the easiest games by far up to this point. The games had been very difficult in the past, especially games like Generation 3 Emerald, Generation 4 Platinum. These games were very difficult, and now they're trying to market for wider audiences, which they did well. They brought back a lot of nostalgic Pokemon and made the Pokédex huge. So first up, we've got Chespin. Now, Chespin was a mistake. Game Freak should never have made this Pokemon. Honestly, I don't know what they were thinking. I look at it and I'm like, I want to love it so bad, but it just, what is it? Number one, what is it? I don't know what it is. It's like a chipmunk thing. D tier. It's not good at all. I don't like Chespin's design. Its evolutions are really weak. Chestnut looks cool, but that's it. It's viably bad as well. Chespin is not the moves. I'm sorry. Chespin is D tier. Next up, Fennekin. Fennekin is actually a fairly average design. It's not terrible. I wish Fennekin was better. I wish its evolution was a little bit better. I really don't like the evolution line, and the internet really likes this evolution line. But honestly, Fennekin, just kind of average. I'm gonna put Fennekin in C tier. I think it's the best C tier so far, but I don't think it's as good as Piplup, Charmander, though. And lastly, Froakie. Froakie's a very strong design. It's a frog. It's just a frog boy, and he's like saluting or waving. I don't know what he's doing, but it's great. If you play this game and you picked Fennekin, that's fine. If you picked Chespin, get out! But if you picked Froakie, you're a real one. Froakie is the easiest choice in that game. Generation 7. Now, I have to admit, this is the only generation that I have not completed a game from. I have completed a game from every single generation, most of the games in total, but I have not played a game from Generation 7. I've played the beginning of it, I never finished it. Now, because of that, I may have an unfair view of these Pokemon. However, I think when it comes to starter designs, you don't have to play the whole game to kind of decide. Rowlet. Rowlet is not a bad design. Everyone loves Rowlet. Rowlet's okay. I think Rowlet's strong. Definitely one of the strongest, but not A tier. I'm going to put Rowlet in B tier behind Froakie. I think that Froakie is just much more easier to pick than Rowlet. Rowlet has a lot more competition, but also just when you look at the design by itself, it's like, is that a bowling ball? But no, Rowlet is a cool Pokemon. Its final evolution is cool. No hate on Rowlet, but just a B tier. Litten. Now, Litten has, in my opinion, which is of course correct, the best middle evolution of any Pokemon, any starter Pokemon at least. Because Litten Torcat, Incineroar Torcat is the perfect bridge between those gaps, but it also looks good. Now, that being said, Litten itself is just a cat. I mean, it's a cute cat. It's got the big whiskers. The black and red is really cool coloring. So I'm going to put it in B tier as well. I'm going to put it just above Rowlet. I think it's better than Rowlet. If you want to know, I picked Litten for my playthrough of Sun that I never finished. I like Litten. I think it's a fun design, but not as good as some of the others at the top. Lastly, from Generation 7, Poplio. Now, originally, I didn't like Poplio. Not that I like immediately hated it, like that thing, but I didn't really like it. But the more I look at it, the more just adorable it is to me. It's just a seal, and he's got a big nose. It's supposed to be like the ball on the tip of his nose, and he's just happy all the time. And I just love that. It just makes me smile every time I look at him, every time I think about him. He's just just a cute little guy. And also his evolution is really strong. I don't really like his final evolution design-wise that much, but fairy type is just absolutely broken. Next playthrough, I will be picking Popplio. And I'm gonna put Popplio in A tier. I think that Popplio is not as good as the rest of A tier. Not as good as Cyndaquil. It's just there though. I think maybe some days you can convince me that Popplio is better than Cyndaquil. But today, it's at the bottom of A tier. Generation 8. Now, overall, this is one of the worst performing generations in terms of Pokemon starter designs. There were obviously a lot of other issues with this generation. Personally, I really enjoyed playing Gen 8. I played it when it came out, and then I played it semi-recently, and I really had fun. I like Generation 8. It's just fun to play. It's a Pokemon game, except you get to see the Pokemon in 3D and whatnot, but I can admit that the starter Pokemon are kind of trash. So let's start with Grookey, the least trash one of them. If you picked Grookey, you know what's up. Obviously, not that strong of a design at all, but pretty okay. Grookey's kind of carried by the fact that he's got a little stick that he hits on the ground like a drum, and it's adorable, but that's pretty much it. I'm putting Grookey in C tier. I think it's the best C tier so far, but I can't put it up there with the likes of Piplup and Trico and them. Scorbunny's interesting because I didn't like Scorbunny originally, and then I kind of liked it, and then I didn't like it again, and it just kind of flipped between those. Scorbunny's just a rabbit. If you like rabbits, cool. If you like soccer, Messi. Sorry, football. No, it was actually. I swear, listen, I didn't mean to. Scorbunny is going in C tier. I think that Scorbunny is okay. It's a better design for a rabbit Pokemon, better than like Baneri and stuff, but not that great. I'm gonna put it right behind Fennekin, but I think it's a little bit better than Chimchar. And lastly, from Generation 8 is Sobble. Now, I personally don't get Sobble's design. I don't understand why people like it. I think people say it's kind of cute, but I really don't see it as cute. It just looks really dumb. I don't know. It looks like if an ant was a fish, I guess is the best way to describe it. I don't know. I don't really understand this design. I don't like it. I don't like its evolution. I never even thought about taking it, and I never did. Sobble's a D tier. It's better than Chespin because at least I can I don't hate it outright. It's bad, but I don't hate it, but yeah, still D tier. Alrighty. The time has come for Generation 9. Now, I will not give any spoilers for Generation 9. It came out, as we're recording this video, almost a month ago to the day. Generation 9 has been very good so far. I definitely recommend getting it. Now, we're just going to talk about the first forms of the starter Pokemon. Alright, I won't spoil anything about their evolutions or whatnot. But what's interesting is this is the most balanced generation in terms of starter designs. Let's start off with Sprigatito. Now, Sprigatito is... Sprigatito is not a good design. It's a cat. If you want to make a cat, look at Litten. Litten is a great cat starter Pokemon. Sprigatito, trash. Throw it in the trash because that's where it belongs. It needs to compost like the rest of its brethren. Sprigatito is not that good. I don't like Sprigatito's design at all. I'm putting it in D tier. I'm sorry. I don't like it. Next up, I'm going to skip to Quaxly. Quaxly is, I think, a pretty strong design. I like the duck, the whole duck thing. Ducks are just great animals. His whole thing with the hair is pretty cute. I don't know. I like Quaxly a lot. I didn't pick Quaxly, but Quaxly would have been my second choice without a doubt. Quaxly is very average. Strong average. I'm putting in B tier. Don't think it's as strong as the classics like Charmander and Trico, but it's up there. I'm gonna put it right behind Charmander, actually, right above Piplup. I think it's the better bird water starter Pokemon. Lastly is the greatest challenger in Pokemon starter history. Now, whenever you get Scarlet and Violet, and whenever you pick this Pokemon, because you should, you will understand why people love this Pokemon. Outside of its design, obviously. We're going to talk about that in a second. But I can't say anything other than that you should pick this Pokemon. Fuecoco has possibly the strongest design in history. And it's so strong, in fact, that when I saw the Pokemon for Gen 9, I immediately knew, literally the fastest I had ever decided, I'm picking Fuecoco. It literally, literally always smiles like that. Its mouth is always open. It never closes it or anything. It's so adorable. It's a little crocodile guy. I thought it was a dinosaur. It still is basically a dinosaur. Crocodiles are dinosaurs. But it's so adorable. It's great. There's nothing about this design that is bad. It's a perfect design. And it's so good, in fact, that I'm giving it S tier. Now the question is, which one is better? Tepig or Fuecoco? The reigning champion or the prodigy? And I have to say, at this point, I can't really decide. I think Tepig is still a little bit better, and that's probably just because I've liked Tepig for longer, and so it's got a lot more nostalgia, but Fuecoco's up there. Now, I want to know what you guys think of this list in the comments. Go ahead and tell me which ones you agree with and disagree with. If you think that Tepig is better, then spam Tepig is better. If you think that Fuecoco is better, then spam Fuecoco is better. If you think that Oshawott wasn't given the justice it deserves, you're better. Hey, this is Editing Arc here. I've spent a long time on this video, so long on it in fact that I forgot to do the outro. I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. It has taken me, like I said, a long time, almost a month. I was hoping to get this video out before the holidays, but unfortunately things got pushed back, and with the holidays it's just pretty crazy in general. I'm glad that you guys all got to see this in the end. If you did stick around to watch this, thank you. I really do appreciate it, honestly. If you want to see more tier lists, in the comments, just leave what you want me to rank. Or if you have any other video ideas, let me know. Little spoiler, I plan to rank all of the Pokemon games next, so stay tuned for that. Thank you all so much for watching, guys. I love you. Peace.